will you advise the House how Ireland voted in relation to the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women? And did Ireland actually support Saudi Arabia in their ascension to that committee? I don't accept the responses that have come from your department. I think the Dáil is entitled to know. I'm certain the Irish people are entitled to know. And I think anyone who can actually tell me that it's appropriate that Saudi Arabia, with their track record on women's rights and on equal rights, should actually be sitting on a commission in the UN looking at the future status of women, would actually just find it absolutely incredible, and I do likewise. And I would absolutely hope that Ireland played no part in facilitating that position. You mentioned earlier as well that it has been practice that these votes are not made public. And that may be the reason why bodies like the United Nations and others, why conspiracy theories abound, because they're not made public. This isn't a policy issue. This was a vote about the composition of a committee. We did know that you, on behalf of Ireland, abstained in the UN vote in the Commission of Inquiry into Gaza. That was made public. I've been looking through UN documents and websites here today, in particular the 61st session on women's economic empowerment and changing the world. And you can see all the contributions from the various different countries. So why is it that we in Ireland aren't being trusted with that information? I think it's fundamental. Do our government, through you, deem it appropriate that Saudi Arabia should sit on the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women? I certainly don't. Is it a question of trade ahead of human rights? Is that the decision that was made? And I've tabled, just so you know, Minister, to the Foreign Affairs Committee, that the whole operation of voting at the UN and when it is appropriate for those to be made public, I certainly agree, and I'm not being irresponsible on this, when we have a situation, if it relates to national security or to other items like that, why certain votes would be kept private. But this is about a composition of a commission on human rights, effectively. In any way, shape or form, how could people understand to see that there would be an issue in letting the Irish people know how our government voted? From reports, it appears that 5 European states actually supported Saudi Arabia and were part of the 47 votes that they received, one of them being Belgium. We've had the Belgian Prime Minister already apologise and say that it wouldn't happen again. I want to know, what did our government do? What did our officials do in the UN? Did they support Saudi Arabia in getting a position on the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women? And I think we deserve that answer. And I really do. And whilst it's fine to pass legislation, technical legislation, talking about, improving diplomatic relations, and I'm all for that, I don't think people accept, and I certainly don't accept, the statements that have come from your department since early this morning on this, that we've no right to know. We do have a right to know. We do have a right to know. We live in a republic. We live in a modern democracy. And whilst people can hide behind statements and say that it's not normal diplomatic practice, well, I'd ask you to look at, people are very concerned about this. Did the department actually believe that this would just go away? Would I hope no one would actually notice? And if it's a question that you didn't support Saudi Arabia and that Ireland didn't, well, fine, we'll say so. Answer people. And it just leads me to be suspicious. The fact that you won't give an answer leads me to believe, and many others to believe, that we did indeed support the Saudis. And I find that if we did, I think that's reprehensible, frankly. I think it's akin to letting the fox into the henhouse, and that's what it is. I think any person in their right mind who looks at the track record of how women are treated in Saudi Arabia would find it absolutely disgusting that the Irish state would actually support Saudi Arabia in their endeavour to sit on a UN Commission on the Rights of Women. I think they would just find it absolutely reprehensible, and they would not be able to understand it. So if you did, explain why you support them. If you didn't, tell us. And maybe there is a reason that I can't think of. Maybe it is down to just purely to trade, that we can set aside our morals on human rights. I don't think we should. So I would hope, Minister, that you would use this time in this debate to answer those questions. And as I said, I've tabled it at the Foreign Affairs Committee also. I just wanted to use this opportunity and this diplomatic relations bill to put those points to you. People deserve to know. They have a right to know. We don't live in Soviet Russia. You can trust the people with the truth. And you should tell them, and you should tell me, as an elected representative to this Dáil, what our government did and what our representatives at the United Nations did in relation to that vote. How did they vote and why? And we deserve to know that. And I'd implore you to stop hiding behind statements from Ivy House and actually come and answer the questions that you should be. You're answerable to the Dáil, and you should answer those questions.
Jack to Sean Crow.
I think